Being from a galaxy far, far away, I still know a good show when I see it. Luke Skywalker here, and you're watching Digit Spin Crypto, a true Jedi Master. Also, don't forget, let the Wookiee win.
I can't tell you.
Hello, Dino.
He's a tech-savvy guy, gonna show you the way. You better load your bags, cause crypto's here to stay. Listen up, gonna teach you about this and that. But he's just a goofy guy in a straw hat. So join in and have a laugh. It's gonna be a good time, that's a fact. Information in crypto parodies. Sit back and enjoy the show. You just never know which way you'll go. Get ready for Digit Spin Crypto.
Hey, it's Dino, Digit Spin Crypto. We got a fantastic guest, and she's sitting on this side, right over here for me. And this is Ms Jillian. Ms Jillian, tell the audience everything all about you.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on the show, Dino. I'm very excited too. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm Irish. I'm sitting in rural backwater south of Dublin, about 100 kilometers south, which is great in lockdown because it's just countryside, cows and hills and fields. So very lucky in that regard. And my professional career, I'm a journalist and broadcaster. And I am also involved in crypto and blockchain, very much so.
Wow. Now, I know that there's other things that you also do. I know you write lots of articles, and you work with the government, and you do all sorts of other things that obviously must keep you busy. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about that also.
Sure. Well, I guess pre-COVID, I discovered blockchain about 3 years ago, and I would like to explain why I'm so excited about it. But 3 years ago, I discovered blockchain, and I went, "Oh my goodness, this makes sense." So I jumped in totally in. And because I'm a journalist and broadcaster, I very quickly, I got up to speed. I started doing articles. And then I was invited to chair or moderate or speak at different events across the world. So for the last 3 years until COVID, I was in like New York, Dubai, Oman, all across Europe. Where else was I? Cape Town. Oh, I was traveling the whole time. Liberland. I was going all over the place, and it was a great thing to do because it's such a new industry and it's so nascent. It meant that I was meeting all the people that are so important in this industry, and that's a huge privilege for me to have. And because I was mostly chairing these conferences, it meant I had to focus. You know, if you go to a conference and you're there just as a journalist or as a delegate, you could, you maybe go out for coffee and you miss stuff. When you're the chair, you gotta pay attention. So it was a great enforced learning curve, if you like, when I got to know all these people and find out what they were doing. And now since COVID, it's quieting down now. So, but it's picking up again now. There's a lot of virtual things happening, and I'm writing a lot more.
How did you get involved with crypto?
Because I started off. I was saying at the beginning, I went to Trinity College in Dublin and I did history and English, and I loved it. I loved my 4 years, beautiful college, beautiful place, loved the subjects. I did not use a computer at all. This we're talking back in the dark ages. And then, but I applied to work for JP Morgan in London. They recruited in Trinity, and I put down corporate finance, sales and trading, systems analyst. Oh, I know nothing about that. So I applied and I got the job, quite strangely. Mm-hmm. And so I spent 3 years programming very badly in London, very bad programming. But I met my then husband, and he had got a commission then to go to Australia with the company. So we went there, and I segued from programming badly into writing about programming. A much better skill set. I love writing. I'm not very good at programming. Because you know how when you program, you're meant to go from A to B in the most elegant form. But I would go start with A, and then I go, oh, what about C? Oh, T. You have the spaghetti loop stuff. So I wasn't very good.
You got to really focus.
Yeah, no, so do not ask me to program. Very bad programmer. I love blockchain. I love it for the innovation, because I've been in fintech for 30 years. So the innovation is fantastic. I love it for it's trying to solve real problems, and and it's getting rid of intermediaries like banks. And then I love a lot of the ethos behind people who are creating these projects. They want to make the world a better place, and that is not a hippy dippy comment. It's a genuine desire to make things better for the planet going forward and the people on the planet. So that's why I'm all in on blockchain.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and you lived through the experience to see how the blockchain or cryptocurrency can make it work differently, and the financial system right now is not controllable. I mean, it's the people use it, interact with it, but they have no control over it. So
it
this
doesn't serve people. It doesn't serve.
Obviously, right now the banks are trying to scoop up as much cryptocurrency as they can so they can control that asset. But ultimately they won't be able to, because again, if the people don't like what it is, they'll just move away from it and put it into something else. They won't be able.
And I'm far from being an anarchist, but I just think that something like blockchain can bring true accountability and transparency to the financial industry. And whether the banks get involved or whether it's from little startups, it's that transparency thing. It's like you have to make it transparent and fair, because it's not right now. And so that's, to me, is the most exciting things. I don't want to blow up the world, but I want to see the world be fairer, and that is the most exciting thing for me. I'm finding it very interesting looking at the DeFi situation, the decentralized finance. And I mean, like, that's 3 layers at the moment. It's the Ethereum, which has got the gas issues, has financial instruments, but the financial instruments have to be proven using zero knowledge proofs. So you cannot bundle up, let's say, that CDOs and have rotten, high risk debt put together with good debt and hidden. And then also it's the governance token. So it's really nice because it democratizes access to finance. And I know at the moment it's very much like it's so volatile, whatever, but it's exciting because people are going to be able to borrow money who haven't been able to do so in the past because they have it on their credits. It's like, that is so exciting. I keep on saying using that word exciting. I'm going to ban myself from using that word exciting.
You sound like Richard.
Oh dear. Sorry, you interrupted your question for me.
No, and that works. So let's go back to Ethereum. You have a governance token, and that'll work if it's distributed throughout. When you got one person owning that much, or you have 3 people owning that much, they can control what's gonna happen. So as long as it's distributed, and there's no giant pockets, otherwise you got your Rockefeller sitting there and making the decisions, and their vote's gonna count that much more.
Sure.
So it has to be distributed, and so there is some issues there that I worry about.
Well, there's loads of issues, but it's more hopeful than not, I think.
Yeah. And then the question is will the banks be integrating or holding the, let's say, Bitcoin or what have you, holding that crypto asset, or are they going to be generating paper Bitcoin, fake Bitcoin, and using that to distribute and saying, yeah, well, we have 100, just like they do now, or they did, where we have this much gold, but we're gonna write paper that's 10 times what the gold I have, and then you're back to the same problem again, where gold, where the cryptocurrency is that asset, but they're issuing notes against it saying, hey, here's a Bitcoin dollar, and it's really only worth 10 cents, and so you get back into the same problem. Those that actually hold the gold or hold the cryptocurrency. But the key here is that I think people will wake up when they can say, well, I can actually just send it. I don't need you, Mr. Bank. I'll just send it to the person. You're not needed for this transaction. So, but it's going to morph into some kind of hybrid at some point. And a lot of people don't want to hold their keys or be responsible, and they're willing to take a paper note from the bank saying this is worth 1 crypto, and even though it's not worth anything, but they can call the bank if they lost it or they misplaced their password or what have you, for that security, being able to hold on to the paper and transact with that, thinking that they were transacting with crypto, but they're not. It has nothing to do with
I mean,
it.
that
Right
for a woman of my age, that is quite appealing. I mean, it's not that I say I don't want to blow up the world. I used to like the idea that I could put my money into my bank and take it out, until I discovered through my own personal circumstances what a bleeped up world finance is. What I mean? I've been trusting these guys. Oh my God, they're shocking what they're doing. So on the one hand, I quite like the idea of being able to do that. I'm looking forward to when, and Electroneum is a good example of this. I'm looking forward to when ease of use becomes, so you don't have to think about it. I don't want to think about my personal keys, to be honest, my private keys. I want to be able just to transact and not worry about losing stuff. And I think it will move, it has to, because, it has to be easy. You have to, like, no more than blockchain underpinning an enterprise or a service. You don't need to know it's there. It's like the web. We don't say we're on the interweb now, or we're on the internet now. We're just online, So I think it will move there, and it'll make it easier for old folk like me to transact more easily.
I was curious, with all this in mind, how exactly you ended up connecting up with Electroneum. How did that all happen? Somebody introduce you? Did you stumble into their building? How did that happen?
Well, I was introduced to blockchain and cryptocurrencies by an Irish trader. And there was a project we were working on, a software project, and he wanted to pivot it into an ICO. That never actually happened in the end of the day. But this trader that I knew, and he was explaining to me about stuff, and he used the project of Electroneum as an example of a project. And when I heard it, I went, whoa. And that was back in the day when I was doing the airdrops, the mobile mining stuff. And I was just fascinated. So it was the first project that I ever heard about. And then as time went on, the more I was always there on my radar, because it was like, it's the first baby. It's the first thing you hear about, your first car you drive. I'm going, I like this company. And then following it the whole time. And then Olivier, who is the PR manager, I can't remember how I bumped into him. We had friends in common. And I was talking about different things, just in as a journalist, maybe, I can't quite remember. And then in Malta last year, I met with Richard for the first time. And I met with Olivier, and Christopher was there too, as well as a few of the gang. We had great crack. I really, really liked them. It was nice to meet everybody in person and discover that they were really good people, just and fun to be with. And I've been following them very closely ever since. And I don't know, I think the next thing that happened was I attended a conference virtually, and Electroneum gave out gift vouchers for the AnyTask site. And so I got the gift voucher. And of course, during lockdown, I don't know about you, but I've been painting and illustrating stuff, and, weird, wacky things that you do when you're kind of locked down. So I had this little book that I wanted to lay out, and I thought, oh. So I took my gift voucher, and I had my book. It was a little book it's like a blog about running, it was called. And I did the illustrations. And I found this lovely young man in Nigeria. He did it for me, a beautiful job, got it sorted up. And I printed it on CreateSpace, and it's on Kindle too as well. And it cost me the princely sum of $45, American dollars. And it was just enough, because it was just a vanity project that I was doing for myself. There was no commercial value. I gave it to my mom. I wanted to show her. But it was just a really easy experience. And then I discovered, talking to Olivier, that the people the sellers are not paying, because if you go on Fiverr, you pay like 20%. I used to use Fiverr myself on both sides, but they take a big fee. They also, AnyTask makes sure that you get paid directly as soon as a client. You don't wait till month end or 2 month ends and hang on to your money. And the other thing I love too as well, Electroneum is solving a major problem with the unbanked, right? I remember I was in Cape Town, some time ago, before COVID, and I was at a banking conference, and all the very earnest bankers were there going, we got to bank Africa, we've got to bank Africa. And then you got to the blockchain section, they said, you got to unbank everybody. I went, oh yeah. And I mean, the bankers were being very sincere. They wanted to offer this, the bank, the African population. I'm going, why would you stick them in that horrible, antiquated, corrupt, vile system when there's other alternatives? So, but I love about it's a virtuous circle, because so initially, as you know, and people watching will know that you had the airdrop, you had the mining on the mobile. And now people who are freelance on their gigs, they can earn it. So they can, that young Nigerian man I paid him $45. He was delighted. I was delighted. So he earns it. But the really nice thing, so that's a way of earning, of genuinely earning stuff and providing a service to everybody else. But the really interesting thing is that if you are unbanked, chances are you can't do KYC on an exchange. So it means it's very hard to get your money out of the system. So you might have earned crypto. How do you get it out? And of course, Electroneum's done deals with telcos all over Africa where you can pay for your minutes or you can exchange value with your friends. And in 4 countries, you can actually pay for your utilities. I understood, I interviewed Richard about a month ago, whatever, and he was saying it doesn't stop there. Oh no, world domination continues. He's actively doing partnerships and agreements with pharmacies, medicine, grocery, you name it. If you want to be able to buy it, he's doing deals up and down Africa and the rest of the world so that it actually makes sense. And that to me is very powerful because people get all excited, oh, mass adoption. But if you can't spend the damn thing, especially if you are unbanked, it's no good to you having a load of crypto in your wallet if you can't, cash it out because you can't do KYC. It's useless, exactly. So I love that. It's practical. And also the other thing I discovered as well about the nodes, because Richard wanted it to be the company, but his vision, he wanted it to be lower on electricity. So it's proof of responsibility. They handpicked a number of NGOs to be the nodes. They are distributed. They handpicked them. They handheld them, and the NGOs earn. It's not huge money, maybe a couple of grand, whatever, a month. But if you are an NGO out in Africa, that's a lot of money. And you can either cash it out or you can pay it in ETN to your suppliers. And in time, I think he's looking at bringing in universities, sort of using the Ripple approach. But again, I'm going, that's smart thinking. And I love that. I mean, I like a company who is dedicated to doing good, but being smart about it, and I'm going, oh yeah, I like that. So as you can see, I heard about them 3 years ago, been following them ever since. And I'm meeting all the team members now. They are really welcoming people. They are kind. They're purposeful. They're passionate. And I'm like a little puppy there going, oh, this is so exciting. My little tail's wagging like that. Because the privilege of, as a journalist, I have a great privilege of interviewing people. And I've interviewed John McAfee and CZ, and I've interviewed loads of people that are very, very famous, Roger Ver and I know Stephen Russ, you name it. I've met a lot of people. That's a great privilege. But it's an even bigger privilege to be able to work for a company that's doing what they're doing. I see my role as a journalist to spread the word about blockchain, because I advocate a lot for women in blockchain. And look at me, I'm a middle-aged, middle-class lady, right? Am I scary? I don't think so. So if I can love blockchain, I think that's purpose why I'm put on this earth, is to say, this is a real thing. It's not Ponzi, it's helping people. So I love that. But then, so as a journalist, I love doing that, and a broadcaster, but to be able to actually work with a company that's doing it on the ground, feet in the ground, that is, and dare I say it again, exciting.
No, I'm with you, and that's one of the big reasons why I cover Electroneum myself. They never cease to amaze me. That like you said, the team's fantastic. Everybody there has always been very pleasant to interact with, and when I went to go visit and shook their hand, you get a better feel of what's going on. They want to be there. They enjoy it. Even when you talk to Ali, he's like, "Yeah, this is the best job I've ever had. It's amazing. I'm creating something of value. I'm enjoying who I'm working with, and it's good to see." And not only that, and this is what I tell everybody on all my shows. Those of you that watch my show, there's a significant amount of fundamentals that are going on there, where you were pointing them out, being able to have that instant payment, making sure that the whole environment is eco-friendly, the mining rewards, the emissions, like you said, go to NGOs, and they're going to include colleges going into the future also, or institutions, which is nice. And putting that all together makes a system that allows you to earn, whether you're doing it through any task or other means. Electroneum is going to be working on coming up with some ways to earn in a fun way some additional Electroneum, and then being able to actually have an off ramp, which is very important. Being able to spend it, and currently, like you said, being able to take my Electroneum phone, and then you say, "Oh, I'm going to pay my bills today for my cell service or my electricity," and they're working on another way to off ramp for individuals, which will be pretty soon also. And it's exciting, so that not only can you can bring it in, you can earn it, be able to spend it on stuff is going to be important. And the funny thing with you were talking about the AnyTask, yeah, with the bankers, they're like, let's bank them. Well, you know what? They can't afford you. They're making X amount of dollars. They're not going to pay you $10 a month to add up their amounts. It's just not something that's viable for them. So you're not going to bank them. And here's the thing, just like in a lot of the Southern Hemisphere countries, they skip generations of technology. So the telephone was invented, and then we started running wires, and then we built exchanges. And you've seen the pictures of in Sweden where all the wires are across the city into a giant tower, and eventually they figured out how to make substation exchanges, and then phones were put into everybody's house.
I'm old enough, Dino, to remember on my uncle's farm down in Cork, the thing, hello, Charlton 22, please.
Exactly. And we've grown with that technology, and now nobody has a phone in their house anymore. Everybody just has a cell phone, a personal communications device, like on Star Trek, and so that whole generation of technology, they're just not going to build that in some of these Southern Hemisphere countries. They're going to skip that. Why would I put wires in there?
Leapfrog it.
And they're going right to this technology. Yeah. So,
and also the other thing too is as well, because we live in the Western world, we live in a consumer economy, which is not great. But everybody changes their phones so quickly. There's like 60% penetration of smartphones across the world. And that's in part because we change. So to feel less guilty about getting new phones, the fact that we change our phones here so frequently, it means that they make their way to the developing world, which is actually a good thing in the end, because otherwise new phones are too expensive, obviously, for people who are unbanked.
Absolutely. They can be recycled, and they can use that technology. And that's the reason why they all have these cell phones, and they threw that out. And this is what's going on with the banks. Originally we carried around some gold coins and be like, okay, here, mister, can I have some bread? And you'd give them a gold coin or a piece of silver or copper or whatever it is. And we created this whole paper money situation because we can't lug around all this metal. So now we have this. And now with cryptocurrency, they'll be able to skip that whole banking thing, technology, and go right to it. Because, and this is the fantastic thing with Electroneum, I always tell everybody, there's a guy in Southeast Asia, he can't afford a bank account, but he has some technology skill, and so he can do the job. But if he's on Fiverr, the first thing they say is, all right, put your bank account here so we can pay you. And he goes, that's the whole problem. I don't have a bank account. You can't pay me no matter what. But Electroneum, they can do the job, and that money then gets that value of the cryptocurrency gets delivered right to their phone, so they have it right there, and then they can go spend it.
Genius.
So it is, because they've skipped a whole generation of technology for banking. They don't need it. It's not necessary because you can do it right here. Yeah, it requires a little more personal responsibility to be able to.
Well, I think in time, though, that will be improved too as well, because increasingly, because everything improves. Ease of use, ease of access. These things that people are working on the whole time. That'll get easier as well. Maybe we'll have chips in our forehead that'll do it. Not too sure I'm fond of that idea, but
exactly. It's like I was in computers before there was an internet, and we used to use SneakerNet before the internet, and we'd plug in the disk drive into one and copy the file, and then you run over to the other computer and you put it in there, and that was called sneaker.
I just missed punch cards in JP Morgan. I was about 3 years because I was programming on mainframes badly. Yeah, I was programming CPG, which is the online version of RPG, and it's the next step up from assembler. But I just missed punch cards. That's my claim to fame.
Yeah, and they had a. I don't know if you worked with those machines. It was like cha-chunk, 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 cha-chunk. That machine would make so much noise. I do videos almost every other day, or lately it's been once a week or so. But and each time, everybody will tell you I'm always so excited what Electroneum's bringing to the table, and how
There's a huge amount of news coming down the tracks, isn't there? I mean, you see that. I mean, now that before I would catch, bits and pieces. Now that I'm inside the beast, if you like, I can see all this stuff, and there's so much work happening. It's huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of wheels turning, right?
Mm.
Yeah, it's gonna all come together quite well. Where do you see Electroneum in the future?
Well, if Richard has his way, he'll have so many partnerships and deals with so many companies. I mean, we need to buy stuff. You need to buy food, medicines, paper, office equipment, all these things. And if you can do it with your Electroneum, why would you need a bank account? Why would you put yourself through the hassle of being involved with a bank account? And in time too, as well, I see lots more products coming down the line. This is just me. I mean, as I mentioned, the DeFi, because there would be ability for people. But the reason why we needed banks, apart from the custodian aspect, you need to borrow money because most people can't afford to buy their house outright. You need lines of credit to set up business, to buy a house, to pay for education for your children, whatever. These are important things that most people can't pay from their, they can't find the money down the back of the sofa. So I think in time that these other financial instruments will come down the track. So you not only can earn and spend, you can borrow and save. And I think it's just a given.
There are some really good DeFi products. Most of it is what's called DeFi or yield farming. And I've done many videos on that, and I tell everybody it's basically sucker farming. Their goal is.
I think it's a possibility of what it can offer. That to me is exciting. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hilarious watching it or interviewing. I interviewed Jordan Lyle from Meme. I mean, that was a joke that turned out to be. It's got a market cap of, was it 30 million, whatever I do. It's kind of crazy. It's like they want to be the Doge of DeFi, but it's the possibility, and that's what attracted me to this industry in the first place. It's like it's not there yet, not there by a long shot. Though I like to quote Tim Draper. He says that, okay, you look at traditional fiat, you look at cryptocurrencies. Who's working in fiat? It's governments and civil servants, and banks. Who's working in cryptocurrencies? The brightest brains in the planet. Who's going to win? I'm betting on the bright people, and I think he's got a point. I mean, it's just there's so much excitement there. I mean, I lived through the .com boom, which I found very exciting, but it lacked something. It had the innovation and it had the money-making aspirations, but it wasn't making the world a better place. There definitely wasn't that. There wasn't that feeling of I'm helping people. It was like, oh, here's the brightest, sparkliest thing, which is interesting in and of itself. But it's a third component that makes this industry so exciting. It's the emphasis on people and making the world a better place. That's just huge.
A lot of the people that are in it, they're in it for to be able to make the money on it. But the goal of the product itself is revolutionary, and as a byproduct, I think it ends up making the world a better place. So it's a good relationship where not only can these bright individuals make their living a good living, they're producing something that's next generation, and as a byproduct will change the world, which can make it work better. And the big key is that it's got to happen slowly. You can't have massive change and twist like that, because then you end up in starving. It's not healthy for society to make massive changes really super quickly. Look at Zimbabwe. They used to feed all the countries around them. They produce so much food, and now that they want to change the ownership of the land, and instead of slowly, hey, let's teach you how to do this, how to farm it, how to do it, and pay the old owner, let them move on, and the new owners can then continue on, you've made that change. They just went and grabbed all the land, and nobody knew what to do with it. And now, now they have to import food, and so it's never good to have anarchy and revolution happen things very quickly. So it's going to take time for this to kind of massage its way into, and that's better because then everything kind of stays stable to the best of its ability. But now it's just something new when it gets squeezed out the other end, but Electroneum, I think, is going to be sort of like a brand name. You want to use Visa, MasterCard, or you want to pay with your Electroneum?
Right.
Tell folks, and and don't get yourself. It's a business, this, but its product definitely can help so many people because they can jump the old financial system and jump right into the new one, just like they jumped, instead of running telephone lines, they took away the wired system and they jumped right into cell phones, and I think it's great. It's great.
Oh, I'm writing a book about blockchain too as well. So that's as it happens, out before Christmas.
Wow. Very good. Very good. Nice. Well, I appreciate you being with us today and letting everybody get to know you and getting a little background and your thoughts on things. It's much.
Well, thank you for letting me ramble on. I like to ramble, as you know. I'm Irish. I've kissed the Blarney Stone. I can't help it.
I understand. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll talk again, hopefully.
Oh, definitely. I very much. Thank you for letting me rant on. It's been a pleasure being on your show. Thank you, Dino.